at 6. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us here on the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Sarah Sanchez.
And I'm Brent Harden. A woman in Deep River is facing dozens of animal cruelty charges tonight after officers discovered her home overrun with dogs.
Now there's a call for donations to help with the influx of animals, and the community is really stepping up. Fox 61's Matt Karen has the story.
The town's animal shelter has been overrun tonight because of this incident. It's why town officials are asking for pet supplies and donations to be brought here to the town hall. And so far, people have stepped up in a big way.
Just a sad situation, but I think the public has really stepped up.
Donations of pet supplies are flooding the Deep River Town Hall Tuesday, following news that 43 dogs were seized from this small home on Bushy Hill Road. The dogs, along with 12 chickens, found to be living in dirt, trash, urine, and feces without adequate food or water.
When you have that amount of animals on a half an acre is what I believe the records show she has, it's tantamount to putting an elephant on a postage stamp.
The homeowner and licensed kennel owner, 78-year-old Gene Jamison, was arrested and charged with 55 counts of animal cruelty. Neighbors didn't want to talk on camera, but tell Fox 61 they complained for decades about the stench and barking, which jives with this Hartford Courant article from 1995, citing a dispute between Jamison and her neighbors.
Help is needed, but consequences have to happen in order for people to learn anything, to understand that this is not acceptable.
According to the Animal Humane Society, hoarding is described as a large collection of animals that overwhelm a person's ability to care for them. It's often associated with mental illness and can get out of control very quickly. In addition to the animals, neighbors say Jamison was living in the home with her husband, who suffers from Alzheimer's.
The elderly couple do need some assistance, and we're trying to get them that with our social service director and the health department, the building department. They're working with them, trying to get them back in their home.
First Selectman Carol Jones told Fox 61 she recently visited the shelter where the dogs are being kept.
I was able to, pet a few of the dogs and hold them while she was cleaning out the cages and stuff like that, and they all look like they're doing very well.
The situation inside the Deep River home was only discovered after a local veterinarian who had to euthanize one of Jamison's dogs contacted animal control to inform them about a possible case of animal cruelty.
Report it, ask for a wellness check.
In addition to those donations, the town hall is also getting flooded with calls from people interested in adoption. Town hall says they'll take down your information, but so far there's no timeline for when the animals might be ready to be rehomed. As for Jamison, she's scheduled to appear in court on February 8th. Reporting in Deep River, Matt Karen, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Time for another check of the forecast. Yet another gloomy day outside. I don't want to sound depressing, but it just was.
It's the stretch that we're in, but things are going to change. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us now with a look at the forecast. Rach?
Eye on the prize. The light at the end of the tunnel in the forecast, but we've got to wait until this weekend. So we got a ways to go before we end up seeing full sunshine. Today's high temperature, though, is exactly around average for this time of year, in the mid-30s today. And there's even a chance for a couple of flurries. There's not much showing up on the radar, but in some cases it's just so fine, just a touch of moisture that it's kind of underneath where the radar beam usually is. Temperatures right now are in the lower to middle 30s for most of the state, but look at Windham and Norwich right now in the upper 20s. Heading through the overnight hours, by the news at 11, we're close to 30, but we'll see temperatures drop back into the 20s towards daybreak. And then here we go again, a lot of clouds, but temperatures will be a bit milder than they were outside today, climbing into the upper 30s to right around 40 degrees. And then for Thursday and Friday of this week, we'll see temperatures climb another few degrees. It is cooler, but brighter heading into this upcoming weekend. We'll talk about it, your full forecast, coming up in just a few minutes, guys.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Milford police have made another arrest in connection to a street takeover from last month. Malik Robinson was identified as one of the more than 100 people involved in that takeover that happened at the Stop and Shop parking lot on Bridgeport Avenue on December 9th. An officer was assaulted during that incident. A juvenile was also previously charged. In West Haven, a man faces charges for allegedly stealing an ice cream truck. Police say Travis Jones stole the truck from a business on Boston Post Road. The victim told police he was delivering ice cream when it was stolen and said that about $30,000 worth of ice cream was inside. Officers found Jones driving the truck. A short time later, he's being held on $50,000 bond tonight.
New Haven city leaders say they're devastated. A 16-year-old boy was shot and killed in a targeted shooting. Police say the teenager was shot while walking near Huntington Street.
Fox 61's Brooke Griffin has more.
New Haven Mayor Justin Elliker says, as a parent, that call from police is the one you're always afraid of.
Whenever someone dies in New Haven because of gun violence, it is a tragedy. You know, for someone that's a 16-year-old boy to lose their life because of gun violence is something that is just unacceptable.
He tells us around 7:30 last night, Malik Sweets was shot and killed in what appears to be a targeted drive-by shooting. Sweets' family later getting that life-altering call from officers.
Losing your child is incredibly tragic. For anyone to lose a child, I just can't imagine. But in this way, when he had his whole life ahead of him.
Mayor Elliker says Sweets is originally from Bridgeport, but has been recently spending time in New Haven. But there's no word on where he lived now or what school he may have been attending. This is the second homicide and the fourth shooting in the city of New Haven so far this year. According to police reports from January of last year, gun violence in New Haven is decreasing. Officers say there were 5 gun-related homicides in the city in January last year. While the rates are currently trending down, Mayor Elliker says even one is too many.
Clearly have a lot more work to do, but our officers are doing a ton, along with many other workers in the city, to help prevent gun violence and hold people accountable when there is a tragic incident such as this. We're moving in the right direction, but then something like this happens and it's pretty disheartening.
He tells us it's important to him that the police department continues to be proactive and making connections on their beats in order to keep the gun violence rates on the downward trend. In New Haven, Brooke Griffin, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Day 13 of the Michelle Troconis trial, and we're starting to hear more about one of Fotis Doulos' former employees.
Plus why his truck, a red Toyota Tacoma, would later be used as essential evidence in the case. Fox 61's Julie LeBlanc has the latest.
On May 31st, 2019, Connecticut State Police Sergeant Michael Butin was at Fotis Doulos' Farmington home with a search warrant. With nobody home, officers tried to call Doulos.
Mr. Doulos did not answer.
Soon they saw a white Jeep Cherokee driving toward the house, a car they knew Doulos owned.
The operator wouldn't really look at us.
Sergeant Butin stopped the car. Inside, Pavel Gumieni, the project manager at 4 Group, Doulos' company.
He appeared to me to be very nervous. I noticed that his breathing rate was elevated.
Sergeant Butin eventually found out Gumieni was coming from a property Fotis owned in Avon.
He had indicated to me that he was removing vehicle seats from a Porsche that belonged to Fotis so that he could put them into his own truck.
The truck belonging to Gumieni, a 2001 red Toyota Tacoma that police believe Doulos used in the crime. Prosecutors showing what looked like the truck leaving one of Fotis' properties the morning Jennifer Farber Doulos went missing.
Approximately 5:30 in the morning, I observed what was consistent with a red pickup truck departing 80 Mountain Spring Road.
The defense pointing out police couldn't see much else.
You can't tell who's in it.
No, sir.
You can't tell how many people are in it, right?
No.
Prosecutors continued on, calling more members of law enforcement to the stand, showing screenshots of what police believe to be the Toyota Tacoma traveling north and southbound on the Merritt Parkway the day Jennifer disappeared.
Right there.
Retired trooper Greg LeBeau looked at days of footage focusing on that Friday, seeing what he thought was the truck headed southbound in New Canaan early that morning, then heading north out of the town a few hours later.
So this vehicle also consistent with a red Toyota Tacoma and also had the same characteristics as the vehicle in the picture that I had.
Pavel Gumiani is on the state's witness list and is expected to testify at some point in the trial. Now, we reached out to his lawyer and they responded saying, quote, Pavel is under subpoena and he will abide by it, but he is very eager to put this behind him so he can get his focus back to working hard to provide for his family. Now, court picks back up tomorrow morning. We're in Stamford. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Julia. With yet another general election on February 27th in Bridgeport, candidate Lamont Daniels has withdrawn. This makes the redo largely a two-way race between Democrats John Gomes and incumbent Joe Ganim, but of course Republican David Hers is still in the race too. Daniels spoke about the alleged ballot fraud and core evidence in a lengthy statement today, saying, quote, in response, you may turn away from the political process, but I implore each of you to not give in to anger or apathy, but instead turn to action. End quote. Many had felt Daniels would be a vote splitter at the polls, but his departure today could mean a boost for Gomes.
Well, still to come.